Welcome to VLearn, Virtual Learning Network. This is session number 6 of India, earliest time through the 8th century AD, and the chapter is Material Characteristics. Topics to be covered are Introduction, From Villages to Towns and Cities, Harappan Civilization, Sources, Geographical Spread, Important Centers, and Material Characteristics. Introduction. In this unit, we discuss the geographical spread and material characteristics of the Harappan civilization, which arose on the foundation of pastoral and agricultural communities and small townships. So, the geographical spread and the material characteristics of the Harappan civilization, which arose in the foundation of pastoral and agricultural communities and small townships, are discussed. It refers to the continuity of the population and material traditions between early Harappan and Harappan civilization, the geographical spread of Harappan civilization with special reference to some important centers has been highlighted. It attempts to familiarize you with the town planning, important structures, arts and crafts, housing patterns, pottery, tools and implements, subsistence patterns, and script of Harappan civilization. From villages to towns and cities. By the term Harappan civilization, we mean that the Harappa society was characterized by the presence and domination of large cities in this phase of its history. So, the presence and the domination of large cities occurred in this phase of the history. This would also mean the presence of specialized craftsmen, a long distance trade, the existence of rich and poor people, and the presence of kings. So craftsmen were there, long distance trade was there, and the existence of rich and the poor people as well as the presence of kings was there. Apart from these general features common to all the civilizations, there were some particular features of the Harappan civilization. In the geographical space where the remains of the Harappan civilization have been found, the communities were using the same written script. Harappan civilization sources. The information about the Harappan civilization comes from the reports of excavations at places like Harappa and Mohenjodaro. The excavations at Harappa began in 1921. Many Harappan settlements have been located and excavated since then. Famed archaeologists like Sir John Marshall and Sir Mortimer Wheeler have conducted excavations at Harappan settlements. These scholars, by carefully studying the material remains, have made the relics of the past speak. Since we cannot read the written words, we have to draw conclusions on the basis of the study of the artifacts used by the Harappan people. We cannot read the written words as well as the written records as they are unreadable, but we have to draw conclusions. We have to draw the conclusion on the basis of the study of the artifacts which were used by the Harappan people, the artifacts, the various scripts which were used by the Harappan people. From that we can find out the conclusion. Geographical spread. Scholars generally believe that the Harappa, Ghaggar, Mohenjodaro axis represents the heartland of the Harappan civilization. Most of the Harappan settlements are located in this region. So, regions like Harappa, Ghaggar, Mohenjodaro, they represent the heartland, they represent the crux of the Harappan civilization. And most of the Harappan settlements, the people, the communities, they are located in this region. This area is also characterized by certain uniformities. The entire zone is a flat stretch of land giving similar subsistence pattern. So that entire zone is a flat stretch of land having similar subsistence pattern. The way they earn their livelihood, that had the similar pattern of the entire stretch. Snow melt from the Himalayas and the monsoon rains define its flooding pattern. So the monsoon rains and the snow melt from the Himalayas occurred. This would create similar kinds of possibilities for agriculture and pastoralism. So the similar kinds of possibilities were created for agriculture, farming and other pastoral activities. The Kutchi Plains to the west of the Indus system is in the transitional zone of the Iranian borderlands. Important centers. Harappa was the first site to be excavated. From the 1920s onwards, archaeologists like Dayaram Sahni, M.S. Watts and Mortimer Wheeler carried out excavations at Harappa. It is located on the bank of the Ravi in western Punjab. So, in terms of its size and the variety of objects discovered, it ranks as the premier city of the Harappan civilization. So, Harappa was the premier, was a very important city of the Harappan civilization. The ruins of this city cover a circuit of about 3 miles. What is intriguing, however, is the fact that there are no clusters of sites around Harappa. So there are no different small sites, there are no clusters of sites around Harappa, and the ruins of the city, the remains of the city cover a circuit of about 3 miles. Mohenjodaro. Mohenjodaro, located in the Larkana district of Sindh on the bank of the river Indus, is the largest site of the Harappan civilization. Harappan civilization's largest site is Mohenjodaro. Most of the information regarding the town planning, housing, seals and ceilings of this civilization comes from Mohenjodaro. So most of the information regarding the town planning, how the town to be planned, the housing, the seals, the sealing of the civilization comes from Mohenjodaro. Excavations show that people lived here for a very long time and went on building and rebuilding houses at the same location. So people stayed here for a very long time and they built their houses as well as they also rebuilt the houses at the same location. As a result of this, the height of the remains of the building and the debris is about 75 feet. So as a result of all this, the height of the remains of the building, the height of the building and the debris, that is about 75 feet. Kalibongaon. The settlement of Kalibongaon is located in Rajasthan along the dried up bed of the river Ghaggar. As pointed out earlier, this area had the largest concentration of the Harappan settlements. This area had the largest concentration, the largest population of the Harappan settlements. Kalibongaon was excavated in the 1960s under the guidance of B.K. Thapar. This place has yielded evidence for the existence of pre-Harappan and Harappan habitation. So Kalibongaon has yielded proof for the existence of pre-Harappan and Harappan habitations. It shows significant variation from Harappan in the sphere of religious beliefs. So it shows an important variation, an important change from Harappan in the sphere of religious beliefs, in the sphere of the religious mindset as well. Lothal. In Gujarat, settlements such as Rangapur, Surkotada and Lothal have been discovered. Lothal is located in the coastal flats of the Gulf of Cambay. This place seems to have been an outpost for sea trade with contemporary West Asian societies. So this particular place seems to have been an outpost for sea trade with contemporary West Asian societies. Sutkajen Dor. Sutkajen Dor is located near the Makran coast, which is close to the Pakistan-Iran border. At present, the settlement is landlocked in dry, inhospitable plains. The town had a citadel surrounded by the wall built for defense. So at present, the settlement is landlocked in dry, inhospitable plains, and the town had a citadel surrounded by a wall built for defense. Material characteristics, town planning. Archaeologists like Mortimer Wheeler and Stuart Pigott believe that the Harappan towns had a remarkable unity of conception. This was suggested by the division of each town into two parts. In one part was a raised citadel where the rulers were staying. In the other part of the town lived the ruled and the poor. So every town was divided into two parts. In one part was the raised citadel where the rulers were staying, and in the other part of the town were the ruled and the poor who were living. This unity of planning would also mean that if you were walking on the streets of Harappa, the houses, the temples, the granaries and the streets themselves will be almost identical to those of Mohenjodaro or any other Harappan town for that matter. So the planning has been done, the unity of the planning has been done in such a manner that when you walk on the streets of Harappa, the house, the temple, the town, the granaries, the streets, they looked almost identical to Mohenjodaro. Pottery. Among the remains discovered in the Harappan settlements, pottery forms an important category. It represents the blending of the ceramic traditions of Baluchistan and the cultures east of the Indus system. Most of Harappan pottery is plain, but a substantial part is treated with a red slip and black painted decoration. So most of the Harappan pottery, that is plain, but the important part that is treated with a red slip and a black painted decoration. So a red and black decoration is being painted on the material. The painted decorations consist of horizontal tines of varied thickness, leaf patterns, scales, checkers, lattice work, palm and peepal trees. So the decorations consist of the tines, the scales, checkers, lattice work, as well as the peepal trees. Tools and implements. The tools and implements used by the Harappans also show a striking degree of uniformity in designs and in technique of production. So the tools, the implements which were used by the Harappans, that also show a degree of evenness, a degree of uniformity in designs and in the techniques of production. They were using tools made of copper, bronze and stone. The basic tool types were flat axe, chisels, knives, spearheads, and arrowheads for the copper and bronze implements. So they were using all these tools for basically for making and for creating their own things. In the later stages of the civilization, they were also using daggers, knives, and flat tangs, and they were familiar with the techniques of casting bronze and copper as well. Arts and crafts. Works of art give us an insight into how the society relates itself to its surroundings. They also give us an idea of how it views nature, human beings, and divinity. So the arts and crafts also gives us an idea of how it views nature, human beings, divinity. In pre-modern societies, it is difficult to separate arts and crafts. Probably the most famous art piece from the Harappan civilization is the bronze dancing nude figure discovered in Mohenjodaro. So this was the most famous art piece of the Harappan civilization. The Indus script. The seals used by the Harappas carried some form of writing. This script is still a mystery to us because we cannot read it. So far, the other forgotten scripts like those of ancient Egypt could be read again because scholars found some inscriptions written in the forgotten script followed by some of its forms in a known script. So the forgotten scripts like those of ancient Egypt could be read again because scholars found some inscriptions, some writings written on this forgotten script that is followed by its forms in a known script. So some of the forms, some of the inscriptions, some of the writings have been written on the forgotten script, and then that also has its form similar in the known script. Subsistence pattern. The Harappa's urbanism was based on agricultural production. During various excavations of a large volume of information has emerged about the dietary habits of the Harappan. So the Harappa's urbanism was also based on the agricultural production, what it produced and how it produced. And during various excavations, lots of information has been found on the dietary habits of the Harappan. So that was all about Mohenjodaro, Harappan civilization, the township, the town planning, the housing structure, their dietary habits, everything. These are some of the questions. You have to do it yourself. Question number 1, discuss the geographical location of the important centers of Harappan civilization. And question number 2, discuss the material characteristics of the Harappan civilization in about 10 lines. That's all. Thank you. Happy learning. We learning.